Hi, this is Shawna, and I am here to present another blog post of Iron Shawna Project. There you are. And that means basically cooking well using only ingredients on hand. That eliminates trips to the grocery store and it helps you be a little more creative and keep cooking at home and just keep things simple, but have a little fun with it at the same time. So, what's on the menu today? I happen to have some kale. And kale, to me, it lasts for a few days, but it really needs to be used up soon, even though it's a hardy green. And you can cook it up like collard greens or mustard greens. There's a whole family of greens out there that you can really prepare the very same way that I'm going to show you right now. And again, this is sort of my standby, super lazy way of preparing it. If you have other ideas, let me know. Let everyone know. When you let me know, you let everyone know. See how that works? Okay, so let's start with the kale. So I've got a bunch here, just to show you what it looks like. It's all pretty and freshly picked from local urban farm, organically grown. I wasn't actually the one that picked these, but you know, from week to week you never know, and I actually like knowing that I know exactly how it was picked and grown and cleaned and packed and all that stuff. So I don't know if you'll remember from a previous episode, but we're going to use the scissors again. This time we're not going to use small snips, we're actually going to use slightly bigger. Because this is not a flavoring thing, this is the bulk of the dish right here. Sometimes if the leaves are big enough, because they do, they come in these really gigantic leaves. Greens do, different kinds of greens, especially like collard greens. I will fold it in half and start cutting them just to save some time because I'm kind of impatient that way. So, here we go. And I personally don't mind cutting up the stalk. You can't really see it, it's the little, there you go, the little purplish sort of. I actually like it cooked up in my greens, but some people don't. You don't have to cut down this far. But it's all edible, all perfectly edible. So you've got a pan, that's a pan, not a pot. You could use a pot, but this is a pan. The other thing that you want to throw in there before you turn the heat on, I've got some cut up Cippolini onion. See if I can do this without actually dumping it all in there. And then I'm also, if you can remember, from a previous episode, this is a garlic scape. You can use regular garlic, that's fine too. I've cut some up here, so I'm just going to dump all of this. I love onion, and thank goodness, because we get a lot of it this time of year. That and zucchini squash. Yeah, have you checked out the zucchini squash recipe video? That's some yummy fried spicy goodness right there. Okay, so got all of that in the pan. And little tiny bit of oil. I really don't like using a ton, but just enough to sort of stir in the pan, just along to keep the pan and the food from sticking, although with cast iron you can hardly go wrong. I really love my cast iron pan. Okay, we're actually going to turn on some heat now. Turn up the heat. Yeah. Don't really need to stir it too much right now. I just like to get it distributed a little bit amongst itself. It's a nice mix of color right now with the red of the onion and the green of the kale. So there are a couple different ways that you can proceed with this. Once this starts cooking down, it's going to reduce in size and it's going to get a little more weepy. Isn't quite the right term, but it's softer. And basically, what you want to do is then add. You can do like a of vinegar, tomato, and whatever spices you want to put in it separately. The other thing you can do is, what I usually do is just look at what I have on hand. I don't have any fresh tomato right now. I already put the onion sort of as a spice in there. I do have a little bit of spaghetti sauce that I can throw in there. Normally I would use like a salsa, but I'm not entirely picky about my spices. Like, I love spice, don't get me wrong, but, you know, putting spaghetti sauce in there versus salsa, like, I love it all. So it's really up to you. Like, if you like salsa or you love spaghetti and don't like the vice versa, then that's up to you. Do what you're going to do. The other thing you can use, which I showed you in the zucchini thing, is rooster sauce, this sriracha. Again, sky's the limit. Look at your spice cupboard. Look at your sauces. You know, maybe you want more of a mustard flavor. Throw some mustard in there. I've never tried it. I just came up with that. If you try it and don't like it, don't blame me. So if you hear this sizzling, I'm going to mix it a little bit now. Yeah, it's starting to go down a little bit. It's going to take a few minutes. Super simple dish. One of the things that I like to do, I mean, this is really great to eat up as is in the moment when it's nice and piping hot. The other thing that you can do is pack it up and take it for lunch the next day. I'm sort of in that mode right now, thinking ahead of how I'm going to pack for my future lunches. So, you know, sometimes it's nice to put, you know, this is probably good for 2 servings, I would say, 2 really healthy servings. I just eat one and then take the other to lunch for tomorrow or the next day. Probably wouldn't do it or keep it for more than a couple of days, though. If you're worried about getting some protein in your greens, because it doesn't, I mean, all vegetables have some protein in them, but you need more protein in your diet every day than what just that can give you. And so, just off the top of my head, you could throw black beans in there. I usually have a can of those on hand, or soaking them is kind of a pain in the butt, but you can do that too. Prepare them yourself. Chickpeas is another idea. You could throw quinoa. Quinoa is actually probably optimal. It's a complete protein. So those are a few ideas for throwing a little bit of nutritional balance into your greens if you don't have like a side of meat or some other protein, eggs, whatever, to go with your full meal. You can throw those in, and that can be kind of a greens salad lunchy thing for leftovers. Is look for other greens if you have other greens on hand. I happen to have the kale. I also have some radish greens, but I'm not going to throw those in, but you could, just to throw some extra flavor or different flavor into it. The reason I'm going to keep mine is because I also have some lettuce, and I like to throw my radish greens, which are a little soft, throw those in with the lettuce and make a super salad out of it. Not a soup or salad, a super salad, like a really good salad, if you know what I mean. I'm looking over my cupboard or my counter to see what I laid out, but I think this is going to do it. So this is cooked down. You can almost not see it over the top of the pan here. You can still kind of, but you can tell it's gone down. It's looking really good. Yum, yum, yum. Spaghetti sauce. Some people, normal people, would use a spoon for this, but no, I'm using a fork because that's how I roll. Doesn't need a lot, just enough to sort of wet it up. Wet it up? Is that a phrase? I don't know. Yeah. Sizzle, baby, sizzle. You can kind of see it in there. I can kind of smell it in there. You can use a little more. Nice. It is done. Oh, one last thing. Again, one of my favorite deals is using Bragg's liquid amino acids. And no, they're not paying me. None of these products are paying me, but I love this stuff. I will throw it on my greens, give it a little extra flavor. It gives it kind of almost a meaty flavor, although it's generally a soy sauce alternative. And one last tip, if you have cheese on hand, especially like a soft, like a feta or blue cheese. I don't often have cheese on hand, but when I do, I will throw it on these greens because, especially the greens that are a little more bitter, the cheese will cut through some of that flavor, as will the Braggs. So there you have it. Greens, kale, yum!